Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of three opinionated guys with mics and too much free time. Strong enough to stop a speeding movie rumor, more powerful than a bad comic book event, able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have better things to do. It's Dave, Ben, and John. It's Superhero Speak.
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak! And I'm your host Dave.
And exhausted.
You mean
I don't
John?
know how many times I can make that a joke, you know.
Yeah,
I know. But this really is apropos, considering.
Should we say we just flew in from New York Comic Con and boy, our arms are tired?
No, we shan't say that because that would be dumb. And I think we're above that kind of.
No, we're not.
Okay, maybe we're below it. So maybe that's too highbrow.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. So as you may have noticed, number one, JD's not with us tonight. He was busy. We're actually recording a day later than we normally record, because John and I were very tired yesterday from getting home from New York Comic Con. Plus, JD didn't join us, so he wouldn't have a lot to offer, this conversation. No offense, JD. We love you.
That's not true. He could have asked us questions, but again, we changed the date on him.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, but you know.
On purposes. Right. So, New York Comic Con 2017. Let's see. What can we say about it? First off, it was huge.
All right. It's always huge. Tell you what. Let's do this. Normal flow for this Comic Con is you have this huge artist alley to the right side of the building. And Artist Alley usually has how many booths? You were there. What, over 800, right? Or close to 800?
No, not 800. I think it normally had, we were talking about this. I think it normally had like let's say 400 to 500, somewhere in there.
In normal Artist Alley?
Something like that. And it was basically cut in half this year.
Yeah. So what happened was Artist Alley was in this huge hangar-like building, which is being torn down currently to build a much larger facility to add on to the Jacob Javits Center. Basically, their plan is in 2 years, they will have much more room. And from all I've heard tell, the reason they're doing this is because the New York Comic Con has gotten so large, they need more space, and they can basically use the money they make off the con to make this new building to add more space so they can handle other larger conventions as well. Right. The problem being that instead, the normal traffic flow was you had this huge long hall that went to this huge long hangar building, and you would constantly have people going to Artist Alley. And so it spread a lot of the bulk out, and the traffic pattern was you could go to the DC side on the left side of the convention center, or then you could go upstairs to the main floor, and you could walk to the main floor to the other side of the building, and then down the escalator and down the long hallway and into Artist Alley, and it spread all of the traffic out. But because that alley is gone, now you've got everybody, like, basically if the convention center were floating, the left-hand side would have sunk because everybody was heavy on that side.
Right, because they had DC set up where they were the last couple of years, and then Artist Alley was underneath where the DC booth was.
Yeah, so they lost Hall. What was it? Hall E, right? Hall E, which normally hosted other, I guess, parts of the convention and was it hosts and all that. They and panels. They didn't have that this year because Artist Alley was in there.
Right.
And so. Oh my God! And that room, and I call it a room compared to the building that Artist Alley used to be in. The air conditioning was just not up to snuff for that many people in that room. Well, not even close.
I was going to say they haven't released official numbers yet, but last year there were 180,000 attendees. I would be willing to bet they beat that this year, and it felt like they were all in that tiny room for Artist Alley at one point.
Yeah, you'll see when we put pictures up that. I took pictures while I was going down the escalator of Artist Alley. You can see it through the doorway, and it looks like it's just a room where somebody just decided to pack human beings into until they could put no more people.
Yes. Yes, and it felt that way too. Yeah, so what can you, I mean, that aside, and the thing is, like, a lot of people complained, but when you really look at it, it was an unfortunate situation. Maybe they could have planned it out a little bit better and had the artist alley in the queuing hall and did something else for the line queue. But, hindsight being 2020, they didn't do that. But that aside, I think this convention went fairly smoothly.
It did. It went pretty well. There were times that the traffic patterns were off because last year, if I remember correctly, Thursday was kind of a heavy day. Friday was kind of light as people started trickling in, and the weekenders, the people who bought Saturday and Sunday tickets, because bring the kids for the weekend, you were just trickling into the hotels, and then Saturday was when you could not walk. I mean, it would be like step, wait for the person in front of you to step forward, then step, then wait for the person in front of you to step forward.
Right.
And that's when I got stuck in that back alleyway in front of the dancing Mad Hatter for like 15 minutes, and he and I became friends. And then Sunday would be heavy until around 1:00 when people started to trickle out, and then that'd be it. This year, Thursday and Sunday were the heaviest days. And I'm not sure if that's because of the new traffic patterns, or because the number of tickets they sold out of all the others, and all the people that wanted the convention, specific, was not Pogs, the figurines, the ones that the Funko things, they all came for the convention only stuff on Thursday.
That is one. I was gonna say that's one thing I heard. I actually heard from quite a few people. One of the big things was some of the exclusives this year, which
they did a lot of them apparently, because I don't remember there being that much buzz last year.
Yeah, and and not only the convention itself had some exclusives. A lot of the vendors had exclusives. The guys from, I think they said one of the creators from Mighty Morphin was there, and they had these exclusive Dragon Zord vinyl pop figures that were like extremely popular. They had these convention exclusive comics. So people were rushing in the morning to get these exclusives, to the point where I was hearing by the time the line got in, they were gone. Like the people at the back of the line were just screwed.
Okay, here is a superhero speak pro tip, exclusive pro tip for you people. The way the lines normally work at New York Comic Con is you get up at 4 a.m, you go get in line in front of the Jacob Javits Center. You pray for one of those carts to come by with coffee. You wait until about 7:30 when they start taking the lines and bring them into the lower level of the convention center, where you're in this big queue. And basically when they do that, you run to where they do the baggage check. And then when you get to the baggage check, you run past all of the people that are telling you not to run. And you get into the queue in the bottom. Now, remember, they have 2 big bins there of bags in the main alleyway to the queue. That's a trap. Do not pick up the bags. Run past the bags. You get into the queue. Once you're in the queue around 9:30, nobody can stand it anymore, and they all stand up thinking, and then everybody else stands up thinking, "Oh, we're being let in early." At that point, you're standing until 9:45, 9:50, and then 9:55, they start letting you up into the main hall, where if you're like the guy that I was sitting next to twice this year, where you run past all of the people again who are telling you not to run, to get into lines to get the armbands so you can get signatures from people like Jim Lee. Here's the thing. Here's your pro tip. Do not get into those lines. I mean, do not get up at 4:00 a.m. Do not get into the lines to get into the queue, whatever. What you do is you wake up at 8:30 and laugh at everybody. Then you go down and make sure you time it so you're at the convention center around 9:35, 9:40. By the time you get through the baggage check at that point, the people who are security there, who don't work for the convention, they actually work for the Jacob Javits Center, say, screw it. and they let you onto the main floor instead of directing you down into the queue. So all those people that got up at 4 or 5 in the morning to get in front of the line, who are there to get their armbands, will be behind you because you'll already be in that line when they start getting let up.
Yes, that's how you anger a lot of congoers. I mean,
well, you know what? I talked about it with some people in the line on Thursday, and then Friday, I met this nice lawyer, and he had these big books, and he was trying to get a whole bunch of autographs for a really nice collection he had, let me tell you. And and we talked about it, and one of the big things we talked about was all the cutting in the lines, because the line starts to move, and people are walking across the street and just joining the line.
right.
And we're all pissed about that because those people are there early so they can get those armbands, and they're going through the trouble of going by the rules to get those armbands. The problem is that nobody else is following the rules. Neither is the convention itself. So if you want those armbands and you want a better chance, do what I say. Go there at 9:45, walk through the baggage check, and they will be letting you already onto the floor.
No, I mean, I agree, because that's actually something I used to do when I was an attendee at Wizard. The first couple times we went, we got there early and waited in the line, and, it was annoying. And then one year we got there and there's a long line, and the group of us decided to go into the Reading Terminal Market and get breakfast. And by the time we came out, they were letting the line in, and there was no line outside anymore. We just walked right in,
Yeah. And here's the thing. I forget what I was going to say. No, right. So I tested this on Sunday because, I talked about it with that lawyer guy on Friday and Saturday. On Sunday, it turned out that it was right because I got there at 9:45. I walked through baggage check, and then I just walked around, and I was actually there to watch them start letting people up the escalators from the queue downstairs.
Right. No, I believe you.
I don't care if you believe me; it's true.
Well, I was there. I witnessed it. So there you go.
I don't need your affirmation, damn it.
But yes, what's amazing is, so as everyone knows, I was working for my friend Greg Horn at the show, and there's another guy who's a friend with Greg's, also named Dave, who has been a volunteer at New York Comic Con for years before he started working with Greg. And the queuing hall, he was telling us, the hall where they have the people waiting in the morning in the line is where the first New York Comic Con, the entire convention was held in that hall.
Wow.
I mean, and it's so funny. And it's funny because one of the things people don't realize, like, you hear New York Comic Con, you're like, oh, well, that's where Marvel and DC is. They must have been around for years. And it's like, no, this was their 11th year as a convention. There have been conventions in New York on and off for decades, but this is the official New York Comic Con is only 11 years old. And, but yeah, so in 11 years, they went from the entire convention in one hall in the convention center to taking over the entire convention center.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard if it gets to the point that it's like the size of San Diego. I mean, trying to get through some of the floor is almost impossible at certain points when it gets really busy.
No, I agree. And yes, like they'll have to figure it out. I mean, sure, they're expanding it because of this convention center. So I'm sure they'll hopefully take some of that stuff into account.
Yeah. And that's not to say it's not worth it, because we're geeks, damn it. We'll go to these things. They could have room for only one person at a time. We'd still be in line for that.
Yes. So what are some of the exciting things that happened at this convention? Well, I guess, the one thing that came out of the convention, which is part of the reason that the security seemed a little stronger this year.
There were guys with with full auto and full body armor in front of the convention center.
Right. So, as we all know, the unfortunate incident in Las Vegas happened last week, and because of that, the security was a little more heightened at New York, and also because of that, they were going to have a Punisher panel. They were going to have the cast of the show there, and show a preview, I guess, or a clip and talk about the show and ask questions or whatever. But Marvel decided that it was going to be in bad taste to have it, so they canceled it. And in its place, they showed footage from, it's called A Night with Stan Lee, and it was at the I don't remember it was some honors thing that he was at, and Joe Quesada interviewed him basically for a couple hours, and so they showed like an hour's worth or 45 minutes from that. It's a movie that's coming out, which is basically just an interview with Stan Lee.
It's on Amazon Prime, right? I guess.
I think so, yes.
Live, Then and Now, A Night with Stan Lee, Joe Quesada, hosted by Kevin Smith.
There you go. So they showed that instead. So Stan didn't make it out to the convention this year, but he was there in spirit.
Yeah, it would have been, I think, his 12th last convention that he made.
Yes, because remember last year was his last New York Comic Con.
Right. So beyond that, so we had Night with Stan Lee. What else did we have? They had a couple of premieres of some trailers.
Yes.
And let's see, what do we got here? It was I'm blanking now all of a sudden. And I had the window open, and I'm done, and I'm failing. I'm completely failing now. I failed. That's it. I sent you a link, and then I failed.
You did.
I did. Okay. I remember. All right. So we had, I don't know what Castle Rock is. I'm sure I'm going to be yelled at that for. But the Justice League trailer is freaking awesome. I hope the movie is that good. Although yes. I also hope did not do what they've done in the last few and put everything interesting in the movie in the trailer. I'd like for there to be some surprises. There was a trailer for Marvel's Runaways, which also looks interesting, and I'm hoping it's as good as Gifted seems to be turning out to be. There was Pacific Rim Uprising, which just makes basically watching that trailer grows chest hair. I kid you freaking not.
There was they showed a trailer for The Man in the High Castle.
Yeah, I don't know why they'd have a drug thing there.
Anyway.
Speaking of drugs, they had a trailer for Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams, which
yes.
I believe you are required to be on something while you watch it.
Let's see, replicas
and The Tick.
Well, of course,
The Tick returns in February with the episodes that they've already filmed and decided we're going to break this up just to piss you off.
Yes,
oh.
And something else that's coming to Amazon is Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. It's a series based on the character, not played by Harrison Ford.
Well,
he's a little old.
It could have been, but he dies in everything he's in these days. So. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that a spoiler? No? Okay.
Yes. There was a new X-Files trailer that was shown, but does anyone care about the X-Files anymore? Let us know.
I'm sorry. I didn't even care when it came out as a series.
Though lacking in anything, any trailers was Marvel.
Yeah.
They did have the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. there. There was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel.
Ooh. And we shall be releasing video of that.
Of the panel?
Not of the panel. Here's the situation. I got tired, which you want to do when you're dragging a 30-pound bag of audio equipment around a freaking, huge stadium-sized building. So I went and on the main floor, I went and sat down. There's a sitting area between the two sets of escalators. Not really sitting area. It's just where everybody plops down because the foot traffic, it doesn't go through that part. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out what I'm doing next when everybody in front of me in the walking area stops, starts taking pictures pointing up above me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I stand up, I turn around, I look up, and there's Coulson in the room above that area. Apparently they were doing a panel or a special interview up in that room. And Mac was there, and Yo-Yo, and May, and Coulson. And it was I've got my camera out, my video camera, and I videotaped it. I caught 2 of those 4 people kissing, and we are going to release that on our YouTube.
Eventually. This week?
This
Okay.
week we shall do it.
All right. Keep an eye out for that, folks. What 2 could have been kissing? Find out on Superhero Speaks YouTube channel.
It was me and Yo-Yo. No, that would be. I'm sorry. That would be sexist of me. No, it was Coulson and Mac.
Yes. Speaking of Coulson, or speaking of diversity and Marvel.
Oh God, yeah, there was that happen.
So apparently there was an early morning breakfast meeting between Marvel, the publisher, and a bunch of retail store owners, and basically the retailers were complaining about Marvel's. I think the meeting was originally supposed to talk about like what was coming up and what events they should be ordering books for, and the retail store owners started complaining about no one buying their books anymore because they've ruined the characters basically, and
yeah, but there were some racial epitaphs that were thrown around by some of the distributors or shop owners, and it didn't go well from there. Kind of the meeting kind of ate itself after that.
Right.
The Marvel ended it early to avoid basically either an all-out brawl or a mob scene. And from what we hear tell, the distributors and the comic book shop owners were fighting in the hall. I mean, not fighting, but they were arguing in the hall because it's this thing about instead of creating a new female character, they make Thor female. If they instead of creating another African American superhero, they give Captain America to Falcon, right? To what's his name?
Wilson. Sam
Wilson. Yeah, Sam Wilson. So apparently there were some that were upset that this was drawing down the numbers for the shops, because it was their opinion that people would come in and see an African American Captain America and would walk out because of that, right? And didn't buy anything.
Now, here's the thing with this story. This is something, obviously we've talked about on the show plenty of times. Like, there's no one is arguing against diversity in comics, but when you make Thor a woman, or you make Falcon Captain America, or you make Iron Man an African American teenager, female African American teenager, or whatever, it feels stuntish, especially when you make all these changes at once.
And especially since you know that the original characters will always come back. Right.
Exactly, because the original properties always come back, and part of the reason they do this is for copyright reasons. So why not create a new strong female character, or raise Valkyrie up in some great stories? You already have a female version of Thor. It's Valkyrie. She's been around for a long time. Just write some good stories around her.
Hey, if you want, you could go full diversity. If you want a horse as a superhero, you've got Beta Ray Bill. I mean, you can basically have full diversity. You don't need to keep repurposing characters. The same thing goes for DC. You want a new African American, you got Static Shock. Just write him well and put him out in the movies. You don't need to. It's just, I don't know. The argument went on, and.
But that aside, there's also no reason for some of the things apparently some of these retailers said during this meeting. Like, okay, fine, because all that does is fuel Marvel's argument of, the readers just don't want diversity, which is not true. We just don't want you screwing with the characters we already love. We want you to keep the characters we already love and give us new characters.
Yeah, and there is no statistical evidence supporting the assertion that it's that the reason why comic book sales go down is because of these, stunts. Actually, some of these stunts usually incur bumps in the sales of the comics in which they're happening, which is why they're called stunts.
Right. I've argued quite a few times. I think part of the problem is, and I could be wrong, is that kids are going and seeing, the Captain America movie. They're going and seeing Avengers or whatever, and then when they go to the store, the characters they're seeing in the comics aren't reflecting the characters they're seeing on the big screen. So I think they're missing an opportunity for new readers that way. And yes, I know you're not going to get 1,000 new readers that way or 1 million new readers. But if you get a couple hundred, that's something. You get keep kids interested. But when they come into the comic book store and they don't see any of the characters they recognize from the movie they just watched, that confuses them as well.
Right.
So
I think we've said enough on that one. I mean, the last thing, it's a very sorry state of affairs, really.
Yeah. Yes. So hopefully they'll correct that at some point. But it's one of those things that kind of just, and because it happens at the convention, it kind of leaves a black eye on the convention, even though that had nothing to do with New York Comic Con or Reed, who put the show on. That was something that happened between Marvel and the retailers, but it was all over Bleeding Cool. So
yeah.
So you had a fun night on Saturday, I believe.
I got to go to a night with Mark Hamill.
Yes. So how was it sneaking into his hotel room?
Okay, yeah, we're not talking. I told you, no, nix it, no. Cut right here. We're not. I told you we weren't going to mention that. I'm still trying to make sure the cops aren't on my tail.
Yes, but anyway, they had a special event, an evening with Mark Hamill, and he gave a little talk, and I'm sure the fans want to know a little bit of what that was like. So
this was basically Mark Hamill on stage at the Manhattan Center, the Hammerstein Ballroom, basically giving a stream of consciousness. And, it's better. It's literally better than an interview because he basically just had all this time to just say, I think he had like a couple of notes on what he was going to say, but for the most part, it was all free form, and wow, I mean, I have to think about it. It's just, he went over everything, his time, how him being the voice of Joker came about, how it was that he got the part of Luke Skywalker. Apparently it was a surprise to him that he was playing the lead role. He talked about, his days as Trickster, in the original Flash TV series, and then the surprise he had when they asked him to do it again, like literally 15 years later, 10 years later or whatever. Mm-hmm. I forget how long it's been now.
15 years, I think.
15. He was kind of like, I don't think I'll still fit in the tights. But, it was well worth it. And it was 2 hours of just all out fun. I mean, he kept us laughing about everything. And he also talked a little bit about his time on the set of Star Wars and some of the crazy stuff that happened there.
Did he mention anything about Last Jedi and possibly did he say anything about Carrie Fisher?
He said they were going to do it justice.
Okay.
He talked about Carrie Fisher and he ended it by talking about Carrie Fisher, and when he started talking about that, you could tell that it still hurt. Mm-hmm. So he handled it in the only way he could. At the end, he had us all give a salute to Carrie Fisher, which basically was giving our middle fingers.
Perfect.
It was kind of awesome to see an entire audience stand up and just give the middle finger to the stage in honor of Carrie Fisher. He has a dog too, and the dog kept coming out and like being cute and all and interrupting the flow. It was really nice, and it's what the best thing about it is that Mark Hamill actually loves the fans. He's not anything like those, well, I hate to say it. He's not like Harrison Ford, who seems to like be one of those get a life people, you know?
Right.
Like, you know, like Shatner. Well, Shatner used to be. Now he loves it because it's sustaining him, but it's the only thing keeping him alive, I think. But, but for Mark, it's like he just loves the fans, and he loves, I guess, entertaining us. And it shows. I mean, to sit down and just do a full, hey, I'm going to talk about stuff and I'm going to ask you questions, and the conversation will take whatever turn it does. And he'll talk about anything, even stuff that might be painful to him. It was awesome, you know? And if you ever get to see him like that, do it. Oh, and there were also a lot of times during the convention where apparently he liked to like just photobomb. There were stories even amongst the people in the audience there, where during the convention they'd be sitting next to, you know, a room that had been cordoned off and there were drapes and everything, and you know they'd hear somebody go and turn around, and there would be Mark Hamill, his head poking out of the drapes, going, "Hey, so how's things going here?" He is so awesome. Yeah. So there's not much more I can say. If I say awesome any more times, that will be Rainbow Dash. There's just the man is wonderful, and anything you get to see him in, you should do that. Cool. And the only hints that he dropped about the upcoming movies. And I will say that, you know, we did see people, you know, the Black Ops guys hanging from the ceiling, ready to drop down.
Right.
Should he go, you know, completely off track and maybe into areas he shouldn't, they are going to find a way to give honor to Carrie Fisher, who was supposed to be, I guess, the focus of the last movie.
Yep. Yeah, that I heard already. That she was supposed to be the main star of the league, so.
Yeah, and by honor, I mean full CGI. I mean, like, we're talking Uncanny Valley to the max.
I don't know if that's an honor.
It should be absolutely horrible. Something Carrie Fisher would give the middle finger to. So there you go. No, seriously, yeah. I don't know what plans they're going to have. He literally, you know, as free as he was with what he talked about, he could not say anything about that, of course, because, you know, otherwise Mickey Mouse himself would come out and beat the snot out of him in front of the audience.
Right. No, I totally understand that. Cool. You know, there's something we didn't talk about that you sent earlier. I didn't see this yet, but I know he's one of your favorite characters, Constantine.
Yes.
So there's a new animated movie or series coming out for Constantine.
Yes. That's a question. I think it was a movie. I mean, I sent it to you, and then I had to start going back to, you know, organizing the photos for our gallery.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bloody footage. They unveiled the bloody footage trailer. Cool. Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. You know what? Now I have to look it up because now it's going to be a TV series.
All new animated digital series from Warner Brothers Animation and Blue Ribbon Content, following DC's popular comic book character, the John Constantine, voiced by live-action star Matt Ryan,
who really deserves. I mean, his voice and his look is Constantine. And I heard that Constantine was going to be back.
He is going to be, I believe, on Arrow.
Yes.
Again this season. Yes.
Wow. It's amazing how they can. What was his show on? Was his show on Fox? It was on Fox.
What? Constantine?
Yeah.
No, it was on like NBC or something.
NBC. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how a company can cancel a show like that only to find out that its fan base is still growing after they killed it.
Right.
You know, they pulled a Firefly, I think, on that one. They really did. They really, really did. So yeah, Constantine, new series. Damn it, watch it.
It looks good, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think people should check that out.
Yeah, the trailer is awesome. Find the trailer on YouTube. You need to. We'll link to it probably.
Yeah, we'll have a link for that. in the description below, as people. Cool. So yeah, a lot of. I mean, Marvel had. They had, what's the name of the dog from Inhumans?
Lockjaw.
Yeah, they had a giant Lockjaw statue in front of their booth. You saw Tom Holland in his Spider-Man costume encased in a glass case. Now, people were trying to tell me that he wasn't actually in there, but come on now.
Well, okay, fine. Maybe.
They had at the DC booth. They had all of the Justice League costumes out for display. That was
See,
cool.
I didn't notice that. I was only there for a brief moment to meet with Jim Lee. So
Well, okay. Jeez, you're just
my attention
wonderful.
was elsewhere.
Yes, you got some books signed by Mr. Lee.
Yes. I mean, I would have taken Stan, but Jim, I'll take his autograph anytime.
You'll take Stan's illegitimate son's autograph any day?
I'll take his illegitimate son's girlfriend's puppy's second owner,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So speaking of people you talk to,
right.
Before this gets too long, let's include an interview. You got some. We'll include an interview now, and for everyone listening, we'll have some more later. So what's the first one you got for us, John?
Well, I'm holding up a comic book. Doesn't it look nice? It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yes.
I'm sure it's coming through very well in the audio. So there's a new book out called Shadow Play, a comic book called Shadow Play. The co-creators and writers are Alex Lobato and Richard Rivera, and these guys work with Stabbity Bunny, which is where I found them. Shout out to Stabbity Bunny. Please don't stab me. And the artist, Stabbity Bunny. The artist was Clara Meath. And this is an unusual comic book. Now, everything's still kind of a blur. I haven't gotten a chance to go back and re-listen to the interview, but I'm sure I asked them why. This comic book is all black and white. Now, the artist, Clara Meath, did an amazing job for a comic book that I believe was supposed to be colored, and something happened, and yet it still looks this good. And the comic book it's called Shadow Play for a reason. It's about shadows. So being in black and white, that's played around with, the shadowing is played around with a lot, and it's beautiful. It really is. And the story is really interesting too, which the creators and artists will tell us about in the interview.
And here we go.
So, John O'Grady, Superhero Speak, first day of the comic book convention known as New York Comic Con, and it's been kind of a monkey house here. Way too many people to get through the lanes. I'm here with the Stabbity Bunny people, which is probably most everybody's guess for our first interview. Yes? Yes, Stabbity Bunny. And
Shadow Play.
And Shadow Play.
We have the artist from Shadow Play, Clara Meath.
Hey, I'm Clara Meath.
Excellent.
My co-creator, Alex Lobato.
Hello, it's Alex Lobato. Nice to meet you all.
And I am Richard Rivera.
Thank you. So, explain to me why these two people are bookending you right now.
Well, because there is some likelihood that I might fall over, if not, or worse yet, escape into the real world.
That would be tragic.
On many levels.
Well, we wouldn't want you roaming free.
No. Unsupervised, not a good idea at this time. Perhaps earlier in the convention day, but not now.
So, you've got this book called Shadow Play.
Yes.
Explain.
Well, Shadow Play starts out, as all fantasy adventure stories do, in a 9th grade art show in high school. And the two main characters meet, and they're both artists. One's a sculptor, and one's a painter. And they form a friendship, and as time goes on, they discover that their pasts are mysteriously linked. She shows him a book that her aunts used to read to her when she was a child, and it's a handwritten old book copied from another ancient tome, but a handwritten journal, and it's got a number of the things that he had sculpted independently without knowing about that book. And she's done some of the paintings, etc., and they kind of wonder what's going on there. But before they can get too far down that road, there's a little bit of a mishap with one of the artifacts in her aunt's study, and Bard loses his shadow. Now, what you may not know about your shadow is that during the daytime, your shadow actually is an entity that is linked to you that has an actual life essence that is connected to yours. It's swept back into the shadow realm at nighttime, where 30 days pass in their realm to them. And our shadows at nighttime are just the absence of light. Now, Bard loses his shadow, and as a result, has to get his shadow back within that one night before the sun rises again, or both he and his shadow will die. So they start out on this little mission to save Bard, and they get embroiled in a battle against an evil despot.
And you've got issue 1 here, and how many issues is this going to be?
The first arc will be 5 issues, which will come out both separately and also be collected in a hardbound volume later.
Cool. Excellent. And you have done... you've done the art.
Yes, I have.
How did you get involved with this?
I met Richard through someone I was working for previously. I really enjoyed his pitch for Shadow Play. He had a very interesting vision, and I'm always happy to be able to do comics work, obviously. It's hard work to get and hard work to keep, and I was grateful for it.
Excellent. And you've been an artist for how long? Have you done many of these? Is your career?
I've been working professionally since 2014, but this is the first book that will officially be coming out.
Oh, cool. So you must be excited about this.
Yes.
And to be having it sold next to a murderous, bunny.
Well, of course, why not?
How did you get into doing art? And, so our listeners know, this is all done in black and white. There's no color in here.
Yes. This is a limited edition San Diego printing we had. This is before our colors were completely ready. We do have the colored editions coming very shortly, but this is our exclusive pre-release. That's just the black and white.
When you did this, did you do it knowing that this was going to be black and white, or is that just by chance that the color wasn't ready? Or
I don't know that I knew that at the time, but I'm grateful for it now. I definitely like black and white in many ways.
It did come out, and it's very apropos considering the name of it, Shadow Play. It's all about shadow.
Exactly.
Very cool. So, what else have you done besides this? I know that you said this is your first one that's coming out, but have you done anything else besides?
There was a previous title. It didn't actually see the light of day due to financial constraints, but
I have never heard that before.
Definitely never something that happens in comics. Financial restraints. Now, this is the first one that I will be pleased to see escape into the real world.
Cool. And how did these fine young gentlemen find you?
It was friends of friends within the comics world. Do you have any other backstory on that one?
Yeah, some of the work Clara had done before dealt with some younger characters, etc., though she by no means is limited to younger characters. But it did put that seed in my mind, and I just really, I liked everything about her art, and it was one of those things where, and hopefully she won't take this the wrong way, but when you see a page and you see the person's artwork, sometimes you can see beyond that and see the foundation of how strong an artist they really are that isn't necessarily even represented well on a really good-looking page, but you can see that she was very strong in maybe just waiting for some more opportunities to stretch and have some creative leeway on some pages where she could really sink her teeth into. I think that in some ways, part of the reason that some of the Shadow Play's artwork is so exceptional is that, in a way, this is kind of like a premier portfolio piece. It's like, here's my work, look upon it and despair. No, it's like, it's, yes, you mortals. But, yeah, the whole thing started with a conversation with Alex, who had the first part of the idea that would become the phenomenon, worldwide phenomenon that will be known as Shadow Play. But I'm going to hand it to Alex Lobato.
And so what does your psychologist say about this?
Well, after 7 sessions straight with my psychologist, he loves it. He loves it. Yeah, he loves the book. really excited for this book. I work at the school system, so I'm constantly with kids. And so far, we've released more adult books before, created more adult-themed books. Then I met Richard, and his wonderful work with Stabity Bunny. Instantly became friends and did a lot of conventions with him. And I told Richard, I need to do a children's book because, I have all these kids at school that are dying to see my work, but I can't give it to them. So I pitched a basic concept of shadow play, and Richard, took a little ball and made it into this huge boulder, and then we just rolled with it. And it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride finding the perfect artist for it. With Clara and the perfect colorist too, and it's just been. We can't wait till the whole thing's released because people are just gonna love it.
Well, you've already got. I mean, the first issue is already pretty awesome, and by happenstance, being black and white, it's more artistic than a lot of the stuff that you're seeing sometimes around here.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's awesome that we have that exclusive, here at the conventions. Because people are going to look back and if they purchased it and if they got it and they were part of the beginning of this ride, they're going to have like their only copy of black and white. It's going to be, unique and different. And just for those people that helped us start this journey. So we're really happy about that too. Yeah.
Once they're gone here, that's it. There no more.
No more. It's going to be colored and in its full form for the world to see. And that's what's,
Do you have this already completely written out? Do you have like all the issues in your mind you're already written, or is this like
we have the basis of the story all fleshed out, and we actually have a lot of it already done. We have the first 3 issues practically done already. So yeah, we have a complete story ready to go. It hasn't been completely written yet, but it's almost done. And that's all Richard right here, by the way. He's a wonderful writer and working really hard in getting this story written and done. So it's been good, man.
Excellent.
I'm going to hand it right back down to Richard.
Okay.
Hello again, radio viewers.
Well, so yes, this is great. I can't wait to see the next few issues come out. Well, it's capped at like a certain number of just 5 issues. That's it, or is this like
5 issues is the first arc? It'll be done.
Just the first arc.
But we have the loose concepts for 2 more arcs, and
so it's got legs.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's even a prequel, right? Yeah.
And then the movie rights,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we want each arc to be a fun, self-contained story, but that if you want to find out more about the world, you're certainly welcome to jump on to the next one.
Cool.
So
as far as this is concerned, the shadow play, where can people find out more information about it?
Well, right now we have the beginnings of a basic Facebook page. That's probably the best place to go right now. If you like shadow play, and that way you'll keep up to date on everything as we know, you will know.
Very cool. And do you have any work online, or is just this is it? Right?
Oh no. Well, we have a team of writers and creators that are part of Gateway Comics, which we have some books already out, like Max Hunter, Cybernetic Bounty Hunter versus Assassin, and taking place in Gateway City 2077, and Redux by Proxy, a murder victim that wakes up in an android body, and she has 7 days to solve her murder before she shuts down for good. Also takes place in Gateway City, kind of like a Sin City meets Blade Runner world setting. And we have Marcelo Bravo on board, who's done Jungle Warrior and who's done Sky Valkyrie and a bunch of other cool comics as well.
Excellent. And that can be found just Facebook or...
We have online, www.gatewaycomics.com. We have Gateway Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all those social media sites.
Excellent. Cool. And...
Sorry.
That's okay. I understand that you're paying close
Engaging
attention
in frivolities on the sideline.
Where can people find your work online?
My work, I'm on pretty much all the social medias. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram. That's my most popular platform right now. And I do have a Facebook art page called The Art of Clara Meath. And again, you can find that linked on the Facebook Shadow page as well.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you guys get to talk to us. All hail the Stabbity Bunny. I'm sure we'll be seeing you more. The Stabbity Bunny book is sitting right here in front of me, by the way, with the secret sauce at the end as to what Stabbity Bunny is, which I will not. Which I will not
Stabbity Bunny
divulge.
plush here. As well.
You got plushies too. Yes. Accessories like steak knives sold separately.
Yes, indeed. Now, we did not mention Alex's Max Hunter book. You did? Was it full on pitch or?
Well, not your pitch.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry.
It bears mentioning again.
Max Hunter, a bounty hunter who always gets his man, runs up against an assassin who never fails when they both have the exact same target. As a result, one person's lifetime perfect record is shattered, and a deadly rivalry forms. The entire story plays out beginning, middle, and end in this $10 volume.
Sounds like a nice death battle. All right, and we will post links to all this online next to this interview, and I am very grateful to see you guys yet again. How is the convention feeling to you so far? Is it good? Yeah.
Fantastic. It's more like a Saturday than a Thursday. It's been great. I know that, those Thursday pass holders, there's a number of people with just Thursday.
Yeah.
And they're here. This is their whole convention experience. So they're not thinking about, will I get this today or Sunday or when? So we've been very pleased with the reception. The feedback on our books and everything has been fantastic. And, it's always a pleasure to see you here as well.
Yeah. They can't get rid of us. We keep finding ways to sneak in.
Well, that's a good thing. But, stop by any time. And we look forward to spreading the word about this particular broadcast and seeing your links and everything. Just let us know.
Yep, we will. Thank you again for sitting down with me, or standing up with me, as it may be. And we'll talk to you again.
Great, thanks. Bye-bye.
So, that's what happens to your shadows when you're asleep or when you're in the day.
So the cool thing was, Richard did mention this when we were Philly, that he had another book coming out that he couldn't talk about yet. So it was kind of cool to see them at New York, and they actually had it to premiere there.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we're going to link to, if Clara does anything else, you're going to need to see it. So we'll link to her social media as well, and hopefully you can follow her from now on. And the storylines, Alex Lobato and Richard Rivera, sorry. Hey, this is Superhero Speak. We're supposed to mispronounce at least one name. You're gonna now. The letterer was James Reed, and the editor was Wayne Hall. So follow all these people. They put together a nice book.
Yes, they do. Cool. So, I don't have a lot more to say about the convention. I mean, we're still tired. We're still processing it. It was a lot of fun as usual.
Some of it you block out, so in a week or two we'll start remembering things again.
Yeah, especially the inappropriate touching in the hotel room. Wait, what?
Really, seriously? No. Just no.
No, just no. Okay. But, and on a side note, Reed Pop, who puts on New York Comic Con, has announced that next year they will be doing a convention in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Convention Center, and they're calling it the Keystone Comic Book Convention. And it will be, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks before New York Comic Con. So keep an eye out for that. Again, Keystone Comic Con. I believe if you search it, they have a website. Now there was nothing on it last I checked. But it'll be interesting to see. You'll see if they put Wizard World Philly, on the run, and, they can put the same kind of show on that they do in New York. More power to them.
Yeah. In the meantime, we are going to be putting out some of the video I took on YouTube. This week is probably this weekend, considering that we have normal day jobs. And I believe we may actually get actual press passes next year for this, in which case our audience should benefit greatly from what we'll be able to do with that. Oh, the damage I could do.
Yes, so keep an eye on our website, superheroespeak.com. We will link out to everything. We'll link out to the video. There'll be galleries going up of all the wonderful pictures that John took.
I am sorting as I talk right now.
There is a sampling of some pictures that I took that are on our Instagram feed, but nowhere near the number of pictures that John took. So
basically, my finger just kept spasming after a while onto the camera button. So
definitely keep an eye on superheroespeak.com. Of course, there'll be more reviews coming out from our good friend Matt Vroom. And until next time, boys and girls, as always, don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.